What is going on, everyone? Welcome to 24/7 Football, and for this week's edition of the sack race. Now, last week I made a prediction of the first manager to be sacked. Who would have guessed it? We had Mark Hughes at Southampton, not doing too well down there, so he's under a lot of pressure as well. I think he'll be the first out of the four that we've mentioned to actually be sacked. Obviously, it's me. Mark Hughes has gone. He has been sacked by Southampton, just like I said in last week's show. It had to be done. He was leading them right into the Championship, and he has been sacked twice in a calendar year now, which doesn't do great things for Mark Hughes' CV. But they got a replacement in fairly quickly. 2 days later, they appointed Ralph Hasenhüttl, relatively unknown in the Premier League, never managed in the Premier League, and his former club was Red Bull Leipzig in the Bundesliga, and he actually led them to second in their first season. Unearthed the gem that is Timo Werner as well. So he's a great manager. Parted ways with Leipzig, unfortunately, after results didn't really go their way. Very different club that he's going into now at Southampton. Southampton's squad are depleting. They are in a relegation fight. Doesn't have a lot of money to spend as well at Southampton like he did at Leipzig. So it'll be interesting to see whether Hasenhüttl can actually keep Southampton up. But they've gone with him. But if results don't really go their way over the next 10 games, could we be talking about him actually getting the sack from Southampton? Then we're likely to see a cameo from Big Sam coming in to try and save Southampton after they try and give him a bucket load of money to do so. So Mark Hughes is gone, and he'll probably get a management job coming up very soon. Championship, Premier League experience, so I don't think he'll have any troubles getting a job anytime soon. But we'll move on to our first manager who could be next in the sack race, and that is again Jose Mourinho. We can't really get rid of him at the moment. Since we last spoke to you last week in the sack race, he has had 2 draws. One of them was away at Southampton. They should be winning there, let's be honest. Mark Hughes' final game as well as Southampton manager, so just shows how bad United are. If you don't get at least a win against them, you're facing the sack. And his other one was a 2-2 draw at home to Arsenal. So not the worst result in the world. Arsenal now 20 unbeaten, so Unai Emery is definitely not going to be featuring on this show for a while. But Jose, there's something going on at United. There's something not right. We mentioned it last week. Something's not right at the club at the moment. That he just seems to be coming out and calling all the players. Fred, their 4th most expensive signing of all time, doesn't even start. Not even had a game since the Champions League. So he's reluctant to play him. He's reluctant to play a few players. I mean, against Southampton, they had a back 3 of McTominay, I think it was Matic and Smalling, something along those lines, and that's terrible. So Mourinho, if he doesn't get a win against Fulham, he's got to go. How can you justify not getting a win against bottom of the league? Fulham have had a win recently as well against Leicester, so they'll be full of optimism. They'll go to Old Trafford. They're not really going to be scared of going to Old Trafford because they've got nothing to lose going there, playing a game. So Mourinho, if he doesn't get a result at home to Fulham, really could be in trouble. Like we mentioned last week, it'll be a big payoff. It'll be a big payoff to get rid of Mourinho, but some way down the line they're going to have to take it because he's just negativity. I just don't think the two go together. Mourinho doesn't really suit United. What he's trying to do, he's very negative. Players like Martial, they need an arm around the shoulder. They need to be spoken to. Whereas Mourinho goes to the opposite and absolutely slates them in the press conferences. I don't think him and Pogba get on. A very, very expensive signing for Man United as well. So if he doesn't get on with Pogba, then as we've seen now, there's just not a lot of squad harmony going down there. But who would they get? Who would they get in return? There's rumours in the BBC today that they're actually lining up a proposition for Maurizio Pochettino. I think that'd be a great fit for United. Pochettino hasn't won a trophy yet in his management career. Some would argue he doesn't really have the best chance to do that at Spurs as well. I'm not saying he hasn't done a great job at Spurs. He's done a fantastic job at Spurs. He hasn't really been given the funds to spend at Spurs. He's not been able to really create that world-class squad that he wants and can win trophies with. So if he goes to United, he gets unlimited funds, and he will be able to he'll be able to build that squad that he wants. Downside is the pressure will be on straight away, and if the results don't go with Pochettino's way, as we're seeing with Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, David Moyes, then the sack will be looming, and it's a leap of faith for any manager to go to Old Trafford. But I think Mauricio Pochettino would be a great shout if he was to go to United. But let us know what you think about Mourinho. Are his days numbered at Old Trafford? Because every time we do a sack race, he seems to be on there, and he's going further up the list as well. So don't get a result against Fulham, I think he could be gone, which wouldn't help United's season, to be honest. Next up, we have Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace, a new candidate in the sack race, someone who I haven't mentioned yet. But against the 10 men of Brighton the other week, they got slapped 3-1. They had a 2-0 win at home to Burnley, which rejuvenated them a little bit, but it's not looking good for Roy Hodgson at the moment. I mean, we use the excuse with certain managers like Sean Dyche last week, who is still under pressure, but he hasn't really been backed in the transfer window, and the fans see that as well. So we actually did a video with the fans, so I'll put that in the link in the description below if you want to go and check that out. But Roy Hodgson has had money to spend at Crystal Palace. He got Max Meyer in. I think he's on something ridiculous, like £150,000 a week at Crystal Palace. He's not really done anything. Star player Zaha, when he gets injured, Crystal Palace don't really seem to play much football. And they're going further down towards that relegation zone. They've won 3 games all season, 3 draws as well. So Roy Hodgson's days could literally be numbered at Crystal Palace. It's interesting to see though, because I don't really know who they get in return, except for that Wheel of Fortune, David Moyes, Sam Allardyce, Alan Pardew. I mean, you could go down the Southampton route of getting an unknown manager, a foreign manager in, but would that work at Crystal Palace? Because they're in real danger of slipping into that relegation fight. Should Southampton have a resurgence under the new manager, Crystal Palace are definitely going to be in some deep trouble. So form not really there. They've got the players though. They've got some really good players. I'm sure if Roy Hodgson was to carry on with the job, I'm sure the players will try and get them out of that. But if they want to. Roy Hodgson, for me, not one of the greatest managers. We saw it with his time at Liverpool, but he had a great stint at Fulham, taking him to the UEFA Cup final back then. But maybe he's just getting a bit too outdated for the Premier League. So he did a wonderful job with Palace last season, keeping them up, but he's not really progressed. He's not really done anything with that transfer window. He tried to make some signings, make his own squad, and quite clearly it's not working out for him. So who would they get in return? I'm not sure, but it's early days. I don't think Hodgson will be sacked anytime soon. I just think the pressure is starting to mount on Hodgson at Crystal Palace, and we could be seeing in maybe a month, Hodgson could be leaving Crystal Palace. We've got this tough December schedule coming up, and that's make or break for most relegation candidates as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether there's a bit of a resurgence at Crystal Palace, or whether Hodgson could be just slipping into that sack zone. So that's all we've got to talk about on this week's sack race. I'm sorry there's not more managers, but only the 2 that we can think of at the moment, with Jose Mourinho and Roy Hodgson. Let us know in the comments below who you think out of the 2 might be sacked first, and if there's any other managers that you think could be in trouble. Anywhere in England, could be League 2, doesn't matter. So let us know in the comments below. But thank you very much for watching this video, guys. It means a lot. We just made it to 200 subscribers as well, so I want to say thank you everyone for supporting us. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.